Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. Yeah, it's percolating. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too. Percolating. Get a vibe, stay ready. Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady. Pull up a chair, yeah, take a sip with me. Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Love percolating. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Yeah, Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy.
Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Friday. Yes, we are on a Friday, the second week in a row, but I wanted to be flexible with this brother for one at 10 a.m. And then at 12 noon, we have the mayor. And then at 3 p.m., we have Roy, our international studmeyer. So it's a full day in the Java Cafe this morning. And I realized yesterday, and it was intent based on things going on, but I really appreciate the fact that we've come out very strong in this Black History Month, talking about a major subject, Black economic development, which has been stirred by what I've been saying is the current face of the front, the face of, again, centuries and decades of delay and lack of demonstration of aggressive, intentional, either removing of or sidelining systems that continue to keep us at bay when it comes to decreasing a racial wealth gap. So I'm going to let this brother come in and do most of the talking. Someone told me yesterday that I need to stop the preambles before questions. So I'm going to take that advice. But I'm honored to have this brother in. I met him some years ago when we organized at that time, Dudley Square. And ever since then, I've seen him in community be consistent. He's a businessman in nonprofit and also an entrepreneur in another maybe after dark space. But please, I was going to say, put your hands together. We're not in person. Before I bring him in, I just want to welcome you again and do me a favor, because I believe that I know that the perspective that he has, and I'm aware of not in detail, but a level of involvement. That's why he's here with P3, and then can also speak to the larger picture with respect to the developers and even respect to the mayor. This is bigger than them. And so hit that share and like button so you can hear directly from someone that is in this, works on it daily, and knows about it. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to some and present to others Brother Armani White. He is the co-founder and executive director of Reclaim Roxbury, and we're going to learn about its founding and why and what it does and what he does on a daily basis. And so again, we're on a Friday. You all hit that share button so we can give this brother his due, since he's spending this time with us. Armani, what's up, man?
What's up, man? Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
the opening beat was fire. First off, I almost came on rapping. I was like, oh, this is hot.
I forgot, you're definitely in the music as well. And so I appreciate that, man. Now I got to be honest. That is a well curated AI production.
Oh, well, yeah, y'all did a good job with that. But yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm happy to be here. Again, Armani White, executive director, Reclaim Roxbury. And I'm a third generation Roxbury resident, born and raised in Boston. Raised between Lower Roxbury, South End, and JP. And yeah, just have committed my life to advocacy and founded Reclaim Roxbury in 2015. Personally seeing in the community after the '08 foreclosure crisis, where a lot of people lost their homes, my family lost homes, experiencing that and then seeing the community become one where there was a focus on, okay, the economy is better now and we want to do investment here. Heard about the city planning to, develop a bunch of public land in Nubian Square and then Dudley Square. And basically, at the time, then City Councilor Tito Jackson had also been working on a report with MIT to examine, the state of development in the community and to figure out what could be done. And with that report, teamed with kind of us young folks showing up, myself and some of my other young people like Alex Ponte Capellán showed up, and we said, we need to put legs behind this this report, where we need to actually have community meetings and organizing people, and frankly start an organization to fill the gap of the groups that should be making decisions in Roxbury on development, like the Roxbury Neighborhood Council. That's really what started the Reclaim Roxbury, us as an organization, is the need for a community vision for development as the city was planning to develop. And we've seen how historically the PDA, formerly the BRA, now technically the Boston Planning Department, has not done a good job at stewarding the Black community in our land and frankly working class poor people in general across the city, regardless of race. But so we wanted to make sure that we had a better plan for us, and that's how we started. And I can share more about about what we're doing and some of our success, but that's just the direct answer to your first question.
I definitely, well, you covered a few questions in there, because one, I know you come with a lot of knowledge, and I wanted to be very intentional. So I have some notes here to keep us on the flow. And so you did talk about the mission. You talked about, why it was created and came into existence. And we clearly heard the mission as well. So let's jump in. And may I ask you a question? Do you agree with the notion that the allowance, I know you may frame it differently because you're in it, the allowance of the designation for that parcel to this iteration of the development there, do you agree that it is speaking to a bigger systemic issue with Black economic development based on systems beyond the developers, beyond who's in the seat of leadership? And you referenced the iterations of, BRA, BPDA, and now Boston Planning. Do you believe that it's a bigger issue and picture?
Yeah, I guess just to zoom out for folks who may not know, like with Reclaim Roxbury, we were able to get in 2018 under Mayor Walsh an agreement to have on basically 13 different parcels of land in Dudley Square requirements that these these parcels of land are developed with DEI standards that require basically Black and brown developers, affordable housing, eco-friendly development, a commitment to local hiring for the construction of, and also for the retail partners. And that led to also a refreshing of the oversight body that oversees those parcels, which is the Roxbury Strategic Master Plan Oversight Committee, RSMPOC. So we got new members on that. And then from there, groups were formed of project review committee members to select or rather to review the projects that were filed. So the developers that responded to the RFPs that for each of those parcels, we, in groups got to review those proposals. And one of the things we reviewed in those proposals is financial feasibility of each project. And that's one of the things that you look at, and also whether or not they are, sticking to the standards that we require, like 66% affordable housing, a third low, third middle, a third high, diverse contractors, et cetera. And through that, you learn more about what it takes to finance a project. And as a director of this, agency that advocates for affordable housing, we have to understand how affordable housing is built. And so we focus when we talk about economic development in Nubian Square. You know, our big thing is making sure there's enough affordable housing so that folks aren't displaced and gentrified. But also there's a focus on like, you know, that, you know, affordable rents, but also affordable home ownership, and then also business ownership, you know, economic development being, you know, part of the deal at the top for the development, but then also, you know, being a contractor as an architect or as a GC or, you
What's
know,
a GC? General contractor?
contractor, exactly.
Yep.
Contractor, the construction company that, you know, does that. And so, you know, each project is at a different phase right now. And we just celebrated last year at Reclaim Roxbury the development of one major project by a Black developer, 2147 Washington Street, where you have the Jean Apollon Dance Center. You drive by Nubian Square, you'll see young Black kids dancing right there where the Haley House used to be. Now they have a new Haley House, it's right next door, and there's a bunch of affordable housing. So that is an example of what happens when, you know, community steps up, the developer steps up, and it actually gets done because it's financially feasible and able. And I think that what we
go ahead. Sorry.
You know, so I think that when you ask the question, you know, I think what we see, so, you know, we have the P3 project, which is a really exciting project that, you know, the HYM My City at Peace team was selected for. I was on that project review committee and got to review the financial feasibility and all that. And talking with our members, we were excited about this project. And one of the things that we had always were kind of like, oh, I hope the lab market doesn't disappear, because the affordable housing for the project requires the lab market to be good. And I think that, you know, so what's happened now is the city, you know, if folks don't know, in conversation with the developers and with their own internal people, have decided that the project doesn't have what it takes to move forward at the stands, and they prefer to try to get, you know, this funding for a revised Madison Park school. And from what I understand, the developers, as you know, we selected as a community these developers to build this project. And so, as you mentioned,
can I ask you for one question?
Yeah.
Please say that again and lean in like you did before, so we can get that good shot.
Yeah,
it is made clear today.
Yeah,
that if I understand process, so people know, the BPDA or Boston Plan, it handled the submission of applications to the RFP. But the Reclaim Roxbury, specifically, you were on that review committee. So they handled it. You all were part of the review. I'm going somewhere with this because what I'm hearing from you is this was a community through Reclaim Roxbury approved favorable committee, and you a favorable designation and choice. And you have used the term, and we can go into this now, Armani, if you don't mind, with the biotech piece around, you know, you use financial feasibility. I think that was the term you used.
Yep.
And we know that real estate, commercial real estate, the biotech industry is just not what it was. What, may I ask, what year did they did this iteration get the approval for the designation? Was it 18?
I want to say it was 20. I can't remember the exact year, so I don't want to get it wrong, but folks should Google it. It was, you know, maybe, yeah, it's been about 4 or 5 years that they've had the designation.
Okay.
And I believe it's been about by the time, you know, with COVID, it is really, you know, messed up. But I was on the project review committee, and one of the things we looked at is feasibility. And this project was feasible then. And, you know, I think the thing now that people are worried about and what's important to understand is the way that it works is us, you know, Reclaim Roxbury was on these different project review committees, as well as other community members. We were able to get there to be a process where you can apply to join the project review committee and be a part of those. So we encourage our members and people, you know, just in public to just join, and we were able to review. And so one thing that we saw, again, like, do they have the funding? Do they have this, do they have that? And then after we reviewed, we would grade each project and then vote on which one we want to recommend to the oversight committee. And now the oversight committee is a body that I mentioned earlier, the Roxbury Strategic Master Plan Oversight Committee. They do a final review and then vote on that. And once it's voted on, it goes to the BPDA's board. And the board is who votes to approve this project and give it designation. Now, each year that board has to review and renew a designation. The oversight committee doesn't have a say in that renewal. The BPDA board does the renewal. And so I think with this, like with this project, with the P3 situation, what's messed up about it is that community members were not given a heads up as much as we could have been given. That's the feeling. And also that, you know, what we're advocating at Reclaim Roxbury, and, you know, we have like a newsletter and we're dropping an op-ed about this soon, is the process for community development needs to be followed. People fought to have an oversight committee in our community, and to have a neighborhood council, and to have the community vision forward, and the vote that the oversight committee does to designate a project. We're trying to figure out still, does the oversight committee have to vote to approve Madison Park project before it moves forward? And regardless of that, we believe that there needs to be investment in Madison Park. We need our schools renewed, but also we need economic development. And there seems to be enough space between the old school and the new site to do a thing where we can have a new school and have economic development and housing. And the hope is that if the HY and My City of Peace team would be able to still be a part of that economic development and also get the school up and going. So these are the conversations we're having right now with the BPDA, with our membership, and with local elected officials supporting and make sure that the oversight committee is respected, the community process is respected, but also that we get results. And we can't change necessarily the market. To your earlier question, the economy is terrible. Trump with tariffs, the cost of steel, insurance rates, everything it's harder to build in general. And but that's not to say that we shouldn't try to see our community and the people we select succeed, and also the young people in the schools. So yeah, I'll let you go
on that. And we got about 13 minutes left because this brother is expanding and bringing people into the board and things. So if you are interested in being a part of Reclaim Roxbury, in finding out what's going on with them, I did have the opportunity to attend their event last year. This is where you can go to get the information. It is also directly hyperlinked in the comments. So please go and follow them. In the last statement, you referenced to deserving of education, great education, affordable housing, and the economic development. And you saw, you know me, you know I'm a little animated. You saw me almost keel over because when we talked the week before last or whatever, I had found myself saying some things, and I said, okay, let me kind of check in and make, because I know, you're there. I'm a resident of Roxbury, born in Roxbury and whatnot, but I'm not as involved and versed in this development and land designation and whatnot. So to hear you say again, what I've been asserting is a little affirming in the fact that taking the pulse from the community. So I just wanted to remind folks that we do deserve and have a right to both of those. But another right I hear from you, is there some legislative, when you said you were working out the oversight committee, do you vote on the, expiration renewal? There is some possible legislative, and that may be too much of a implying word, but is there some legislation either through the council or how this happened that now, no matter who, to my earlier question, no matter who, no matter what, the process ensures that we are heavily in decisions?
Yeah, that's a good question. And so in the zoning code, there's a requirement for the Article 80 process for large developments. That's the
Can you
thing.
give 30 seconds of Article 80?
Yeah, sure. And people should know about this. We can, you join, become a member, look on our website. We have more info, Google it. But the Article 80 process is a community review process that I think was created under Mayor Menino to give community to be a part of the process of the development. And so that's where there's a project review committee formed, and you review a project and talk about community benefits. And over time, people have talked about how project review committees sometimes will be, people will be put on it that are going to benefit from the project. So they kind of just give approval. And there's been lawsuits about that in the past. But fast forward, to today, we are, the way the project review committees work is we've opened them to be more transparent. And so that's been a good thing. That's been a really good thing, I'd say. But in terms of legislation, the city is doing a wholesale reform of the Article 80 process to have basically a more transparent and a less potentially like I just described, how people were kind of using those committees to kind of get the project approved and get something out of the project, trying to remove that conflict of interest and have it be like a true review body. So that's important. And that's something that we've been a part of in the, Mayor Wu, when she became mayor, committed to abolishing the BPDA. And through that, one of the things she's done is, talk about changing the Article 80 review process. And soon there's actually going to be a citizen planning academy coming out that, we were able to work with on delivering to help train residents on how to how to understand the process of development. Like everything I'm talking about, Article 80, the zoning code, and all of this is actually in the process of changing right now because the city is abolishing the BPDA. And so if you're trying to catch up, it's like you got to know the old and then understand how it's transitioning to new. But we're here to help, and that's what Reclaim Roxbury is about. But in terms of legislation, we also have fair housing in the zoning code. This first city in the country to put fair housing into the zoning code. That was through, in partnership with state legislation, Lydia Edwards, folks like Councillor Bach, but Mayor Wu was a part of that, and the Boston Tenant Coalition, and folks have been fighting for fair housing in Boston. Fair housing is part of the civil rights movement. It was never finished. Obama became president. He was like, we're going to continue to affirmatively further fair housing, AFFH. We're going to do that, do an assessment. Folks like Bob Terrell helped lead that in Boston with folks like Kathy Brown. And essentially that led to the city putting fair housing into the zoning code, which requires a number of different things like an assessment of the fair housing impact of a development, which is a new thing that people need to know about. We're having a workshop on it soon. But essentially there is legislation that exists. In terms of the designation process, the process for development in Roxbury is set out in the Article 50 of the zoning code, but also in this Roxbury strategic master plan. And that is being that's being followed as of right now. It's being followed technically, right? The oversight committee designated the project. It was approved, but it wasn't renewed. They didn't have a say in the non-renewal. But the question remains: will they have a say in the renewal in the designation of P3, either as a school or whatever else? And frankly, the oversight committee is hand selected by the mayor, and so I don't know that they would vote against something the mayor wanted to do. Frankly, there's a number of them that should be appointed by the Roxbury Neighborhood Council, but we don't have a neighborhood council, and so we kind of lose our democratic, small d democratic role in that. But that's something we've been focused on for like 11 years, and it's been we're working on it, and that's a whole nother Java with Jimmy episode on just the Roxbury Neighborhood Council.
Okay,
but,
we can do that.
yeah.
I got about 7 minutes left. I want to, in some of my past shows since this has happened, Armani, I've heard terms like political will. I've heard terms like presumption. I heard terms like identification with our, struggle as Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And Carlos Enriquez helped me with this, that everybody's definition of equity is not the same based on their life experience and how we prioritize where we put equitable things in the list of getting things done. With what you said, and thank you for the awareness of the process, we are familiar. Two questions as we get ready to close out. We are familiar with a time where there was an ability. When you talk about a part of this process was that there was, I think if I remember right, the term was slight, that the community didn't get the heads up, hey, this is coming down the pike. And it could have gave an opportunity to say, hey, this doesn't really look good. My point is, are some of us who have an expectation that despite what you said with the process, despite what you said about the economy and things like that, is Black Boston, I know you don't want to speak for all of Black Boston. Am I right in feeling that this administration, we would have thought would not skip, but be more aggressive to ensure that this happens while understanding our plight? I think you know where I'm going, and I'm trying
I get your question. No, I get your question. The question is clear to me. If it doesn't feel clear coming out, I think what I understand about what's happened is that there was an opportunity that came kind of last minute, and this was all done very quickly. But there needs to be care for Black community and how things are happening as we are under attack. Black History Month is, is here. And I think that was not followed. There wasn't care taken to this kind of decision, both for the community and for the development team, I'd argue. And seems to be a world where the city could have left this team as, the designee and still maybe gotten an opportunity to take advantage of, for this to apply to this money, to get this funding for Madison, which is desperately needed. But the decision was made not to do that, and then it seems that the decision, there could have been more communication. And I think I've heard that there's been an apology made to the oversight committee about how everything went down. I think they would be good to hear that more publicly to the community. To understand the thought process. I think we live in a time where everyone's okay with being a little bit more vulnerable, or rather, people want to see see people admit when they might have messed up, and just how they are planning to do better. And the Black community needs that. We don't want to be like gaslit per se, but I think that the ability of a leader to communicate ways they could have done better is also a sign of strength. And so I would say that I always say when it comes to local community development in Roxbury, we have always fought to be able to have the decision-making power in how things are done, and that's such a key part of where we need to focus on, which is why the oversight committee's role is so important.
About things important, I got 3 minutes left. I've been saying, we hear words, we hear apologies and whatnot. What for you will call, I forgot the term, convinced. What would convince you that there is a strong understanding of why this commitment to revamp, make this work, where we have a stellar education, cultural, I've been saying the Madison, my city at Roxbury, cultural Black economic engine. Why is it important that we be convinced that there is demonstrated commitment beyond apologies and beyond the words? And what does that look like?
Yeah, I think what we've heard, we've emailed the city and they've responded back in writing, and this is like, there's a communication happening to the oversight committee between the city. Us advocates are communicating, and I think you've been raising the flag on this, and I think that's how politics and community involvement works. Is there's like a back and forth. And I think they're hearing, and so what I've seen them say is, just to be clear, is that they do want to see this development team be a part of the next phase, and I think that's something that we're making clear as advocates. Everyone's making clear in unison. So I think they're hearing us, and that's a sign of good leadership, is when you hear people when they speak out. So I'd like to acknowledge that too. It's not always all bad or all good, and also when it is all bad, they make a movement, forward to good. It's important to recognize that. So I think that, right now, it's really promising to hear that. I think it's still, I think they might say that they need to check with legal on whether or not the oversight committee would vote on Madison Park. But I think, like I've said earlier, and our membership says this, we don't want to not see Madison Park also get development, Madison Park High School get an investment, right? It's like, how do we make sure it's everything? And so I think it can be done. I'm not an optimist. I'm hopeful, and we're gonna be there at the table making sure that that's the case. So that's the thing about.
Last question: is White Stadium on your radar? There was a presser this morning. I just got a.
My last name is White, but I have no relation to White Stadium. Just for the record, it's not named after me. I'm not. I did do track in college, but it is on a radar. I think when we, as a small organization, focus on things, we kind of go to our membership and we're like, what do y'all want to focus on? White Stadium had us split enough where we were like, let's focus on other things. We need people. There's enough problems. We can whack-a-mole. We need, we need different people holding the wax, and so we can focus on local housing, urban planning, and Nubian Square, and be really good at that, as opposed to trying to do everything and not being so good at everything.
That's definitely real. I thank you for your focus, sir. I thank you for spending the time with us. Give your dad my best, and thank you for being steadfast in this, because our voices you talked about it in these times, the considerations that we need demonstrated in these times, I think are required more than in times past.
Yes, no, we need it. We need to dig deep, and we just had brother Eubanks, Mr. Eubanks, pass away, and he was someone who showed up. We need to dig deep like that, and we have a board member who passed last year around this time, Cheryl Antoine, and she was also like, you guys, without you gotta have faith and action. It's not just about hoping and praying. You gotta put boots on the ground. So
you pray, move your feet. Last question. I promise. What do you do for self-care? What do you do for self-care?
You see this?
This is heavy sometimes.
You see the skin? I get facials. I get massages. I run. I go to the gym. I smoke weed. So
I saw a little different side of you right there, brother. I appreciate you, man. And I will. So you're not attached in this role. I will let folks know how they may be able to support you in another way in their self-care.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'll say that real quick. I'm also
you can say it. Okay.
Yeah, it's what I want.
Okay.
So I'm executive director at Reclaim Roxbury, but then I also am an entrepreneur, and I started a cannabis shop in Hyde Park. And like when we talk about economic development, it's one thing to as an advocate, it's important to advocate for those kind of things, and then as someone who's trying to bring it to life, it's so much. It's a different angle, and it's a different type of hard to to advocate for it. But it's a beautiful thing to see, and definitely come by. We have fireweed, and would love to help if you're an entrepreneur trying to get in the industry.
I got a lot of mothers in here. You got some THC.
21 plus. Oh my God.
No. Hold on. You got like THC CBD lotion.
We got drinks. We have topical. We got cream. If you got a little shoulder ache, we got cream you can rub on. We got drinks. We have seeds. If you want to come and get grow yourself, we're gonna have classes in the spring teaching people how to grow. So, but that's all 21 plus. If you're a young person, don't listen to what I just said. But thank you, Java, for Jimmy. Thank you for
James. I wish you would call me a Jimmy and a Java. I love you, bro, and we'll talk soon, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother. Seriously, thank you. Thank you for having this platform for the community.
Absolutely, man. We've talked a lot about P3, but I think that what Armani did for us today was in all the conversations and iterations of what happened. We talked to the developers. We're going to talk to the mayor at 12 noon. He really gave, I believe, a sort of chronological process overview of how we got here. And he did affirm a few things, that this was signed off by the community and the oversight committee. And I don't know what members. And so just to let you know, I put in the comments and I'll try to put these on the James page. I think it's open. I put in the, did I see Curtis's name? Does Reclaim not acknowledge the current council? So I don't know, Curtis, if I think he said that. No, from what he said, I think that the Roxbury Neighborhood Council is not active, and he said that'd be another show to address or whatever. So I don't know if he's advocating to get that. I don't know why it's not active. So there's the Roxbury Oversight Committee, I guess the Roxbury Neighborhood Council, and then Reclaim Roxbury. And I didn't get a chance to ask him his perspective about Black leadership. If you all, this brother in here commenting now was my guest on GBH yesterday. And Curtis, when we left, I apologize to you because somebody told me that I don't need to be giving y'all preambles before I give y'all questions. And sometimes that makes your brain go all over the place too. But thank you for being with us yesterday. All right. So what we walked away with today was that this was a project that went through the proper process with either probably the BDA or whatever at that time, and now the Boston Planning Department, which was also, it then was signed off by the Roxbury Oversight Committee. What Armani also said was, and let's be clear, my understanding is that Madison Park High School, with the iteration that the mayor wants to do, we haven't seen renderings of things yet, but with what the mayor wants to do, it is probably somewhere between a $700 million and $800 million project. Right now, the city of Boston is in a application process for about $200 million, and we can get some clarity from her at 12 noon. Which that means that it's an application process, and applications get approved and applications get denied. And he also, it's speaking of process, Armani. So let me finish that point there. That it would if it is not approved, it becomes interesting that my response, my thoughts there would be that this didn't happen. A whole new application process has to be put in place, which is more man hours, more reviews, other, in fairness, other Black developers, women-owned developers would apply, spend time, effort, and labor in applying to possibly, everybody's not going to get approved. And it would just be very interesting if the state doesn't approve this $200 million. I don't know. I'm not in development. we could have been poised to just jump right back and do what it is that the city can do to recalibrate and move away from a large biotech piece, maybe look at AI and things like that. A novice in this space, but I just would think that we would have been poised better to jump back if the designation wasn't allowed to expire. But guess who can give us a perspective about this? Mayor will be with us at 12 noon. Right now, and I think I put on the post that people can comment up until 11 a.m. But I did ask the community to prioritize what they wanted as the top subjects for me to chat with the mayor about at 12 noon. And still, I'm going to refresh just to make sure I got the latest. As of right now, according to the comments, and thank you for all that Charlene put a little commentary, but she put her numbers. Right now, the number one issue. Oh, Jesus, I put a lot of stuff out there yesterday. The top three that you all want me to chat with. Jesus. Okay, here we go. Okay. So from what I'm hearing, seeing, about a good 30% of my own concerns, which are parallel with, the communities. Black Boston Economic Development, P3, BPS, parenthetically, layoffs, graduation rate for 26, school closings. Number 3, ICE. Number 4, property taxes. Number 5, snow removal. And number 6, White Stadium. Now, what's funny to me is, and maybe the Snowzar, as I call him, or the DPW Chief of Streets interim, Nick Gove, maybe y'all were satisfied with what he said, but I'm just surprised that number 5 only 10 people voted. And granted, this is not, but this is a form of civic engagement for all this, here's an opportunity here to influence a conversation with the mayor. So right now, the Jesus Lord, the top 3, 1, 2, definitely. 1, 2, and 3 still has the third. Interestingly, so 3 still has the third place for runner-up. 4 got 1, 5 got 2, 6 got 1. Yeah, so it's 1, 2, and the 3 got like 3 or 4, or maybe 5. So it's 1, 2, and 3, which are going to result in, in being Black Boston Economic Development, BPS layoffs, graduation rate 26, and also school closings and ICE. Now, based on the fact that the mayor just gave us an update at the press conference about White Stadium, we will chat a little bit with her about that as well. So the mayor will be back at 12 noon, and also at 3 p.m., Roy International Studmeyer, the writer and producer of We All We Need, We All We Got, We All We Need. And I texted him this morning and told him that song is so appropriate right now. That isn't just for the NFL. What's up, Jamil? Good to see you over on Instagram, brother. All right, we're going to wrap up because we have 2 more shows to get done today. Thank all of you for coming in on a Friday, and that make no one really cares. Curtis, happy birthday to the pastor, Sharon Cornelius. Happy birthday, Pastor. We love and appreciate you. You are definitely a charter member and a supporter, Mother's Board member, prayer warrior, all of that. Happy birthday to you. Also, earlier this week, Nicole Hart celebrated her birthday as well. I wanted to. January's over. I wanted to this year start doing birthdays every month, but I'm back to being a one-man show, doing everything literally. So yeah. Winter. I saw Winter yesterday, y'all. Let me see if he taps into the details. Okay, no, he doesn't. Let's dig into how our alternative education hub can help get the word out to the community. And you're right there in Roxbury, Winter. So reach out to brother. I don't know if you already know Armani, but definitely reach out to him and do that. Hi, Charlene. Charlene said he acknowledged it, but said something about it not have the lowercase d voice at the table. Charlene is answering Brother Curtis about the Roxbury Council. Thank all of you for being here today. I'm going to go so we can come back. Energize. Vote for Carlos. Good to see you in the room, brother. Good to see you in the room. Whose birthday else today? Happy birthday, Mr. FYC. Who's FYC? Mr. Carlos. Who's FYC? Frederick, what's up, brother? Is this your government? Every time I see that, I'm like, it's not that they don't care about BPS. They don't care about Black students. There's okay. I'm gonna go for real. Carlos, just tell me who is FYC? Whoever FYC is, happy birthday to FYC. I'm trying to figure it out. All right. Brother Carlos probably hopped off. We will see you at 12 noon today with Mayor Wu. Have a great morning, and we will be back in just about an hour and 15